I know I said I wasn't going to make any more videos for a while, but I couldn't help. I can't leave everybody hanging. When the market falls off a cliff, you need to know what's happening. I'm here to tell you. Okay, so us falling off, is holding 6,000 forever. The camel, the straw that broke the camel's back, and this is more than a straw. The mining computer that broke the camel's back was this BCH war. And let me just try to explain it a little bit to you. Keep in mind the war between Bitcoin Cash and within Bitcoin Cash is a very small part. Remember, I think it's only like 6% of the total hash power. In other words, a very small group of maniacs left Bitcoin last year. This small group of idiots is fighting each other. But they're spending a lot of money to do it. Craig Wright selling Bitcoin to fund his insanity is driving down the price. Now you can see the fork was here, and they're battling to see who has more hash power. They're hoping one wins, and then the winner gets the ticker, BCH, Bitcoin Cash, the misleading, ticker that they did branding for a year. Well, look at the fight. Nobody's winning. Hash power is going down for both, and they're bleeding money. There's estimates all over the place. Could be millions a day, okay? It's more profitable to mine on the Bitcoin chain, but they are losing money to mine and to buy pools of mining, to take it off of Bitcoin to mine, to fund their silly war. And so you can follow it. I'll put the links in for these pages, for this page here. Right now, Bitcoin Cash hash rate is 62%, but this fluctuates like crazy. Whatever. No end in sight to the war. Could end at any minute. Who knows? They both come to some agreement and decide they're not going to spend more money. But, so Bitcoin Cash sort of still trades. I'm not sure where and how, and where is it on this list? Here it is here. Down to $215. So if you were in Coinbase and you had Bitcoin Cash and you bought it before the fork because you thought it was going to be awesome, I think it was around $400 or higher. Now it's at $215, but if you're on Coinbase, you still can't get access to it. Now, if this is not resolved, which it looks like it's not going to be resolved, this may cease to exist, and I guess my prediction of it going to zero becomes true, but not totally true because instead it splits into two. Bitcoin Cash ABC, this is Roger Ver's coin. And where's the other? Satoshi, this is Craig Wright's coin. Okay. It looked at the beginning like it was going to get killed, but it's staying in there. And so that's why it has higher volume and kind of has been going up in price because it looked like it was good for dead. Now, those two survived. Now, a little bit more depth on the story. Roger Ver last year with Jihan of Bitmain, they both had a lot of Bitcoin. And they sold almost all of their Bitcoin in order to fund the marketing for their shitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. So, I don't know. They still have some money, but Bitmain and Roger Ver must be kind of getting low on cash, I would think. And I know Bitmain sort of already has sold all of their Bitcoin, and they've got a ton of Bitcoin Cash, which is plummeting in value. I think they're in big trouble. Now, Craig Wright, I don't know that he sold a lot of his Bitcoin, and I think he's dumping it now. And also, keep in mind, the smart money, Wall Street, they may be buying some Bitcoin now, but when they buy it quietly. They don't tell anybody. They try to do it in little lots so you can't find them. When Roger Ver buys, or when Roger Ver was selling, or when Craig Wright is selling, they announce it. They dump it on the market. They make the price go even lower because they're idiots. And it's ego. Hey, look at me. I can move the market. And also, Bitcoin sucks. I want it to go down. I don't care that I own a lot. I want it to go down. So Craig Wright, he hates Bitcoin, BTC. So he wants the price to go down, even though he's using it to fund himself. Real dementia, this guy. So this war causing problems, but I kind of think that Bitcoin Cash, ABC is done. This Craig Wright, if he has enough Bitcoin, may survive with some tiny shitcoin and keep making noise for a few years. I don't know. But the whole thing is a shit show. But in the long run, this is good for Bitcoin because some people did think that Bitcoin Cash was like an alternative, which it's not. And I think that possibility is now gone. Bitcoin sort of, it's still, Ethereum's different. Maybe you say it competes with Ethereum. But those are two different, completely different. It's like Amazon against Google. They're just in different worlds, but they're both big and they're not even really competing. Anyways, so that's why I think Bitcoin's been knocked down. Could it go down further? First of all, listen, I really kind of thought the 6,000 was going to hold, if you've been watching me. So listen, and I've never said my ability to price predict. In fact, nobody can price predict. And so who knows? In January, I did think we were going to spend more time in the 4,000s. I was surprised we didn't. I said there'll be 2 days where you'll be able to buy it in the 3,000, the 3 handle, and I had all but given up on that. Well, it was just in the 3,000s for a couple days. Maybe I was right in January and that's it. But I've seen a lot of smart traders. Travis Kling is a guy, you could follow him on Twitter, smart guy, and I messaged him. In fact, let's see if we can find this message from Mr. Kling. He replied to me. I don't like talking price on Twitter. It's really hard to call bottoms either on price or timing, but currently this doesn't feel like we're that close to the ultimate low, either in price or timing. But listen, everybody's wrong. So here, listen, this is one guy. So far, he's been right-ish, at least on that when he said the 58 is not the low. That this could, and I think he said it's going to bleed longer, so maybe it trickles down for a while and just frustrates more people. I don't know, but if you're buying it over time, oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say. I remember December. I remember last Thanksgiving, and I remember that feeling of, oh my God, it's going up again. It's going up 10% again. It's going up even more, and I was just like, okay, listen, I don't know where this is going. I don't know how it plays out. But what I do know is this is a high price. This is not when you want to be buying. And I bet it's going to be lower than this at some point in the future. I kind of felt that, right? Well, right now, we're having the opposite of that over Thanksgiving. It's down 10% again. It's down 10% again. And it feels, I don't know where the bottom is. I don't know how long it goes on for, but it feels like it's going to be higher than this point in the future, right? It's almost the exact opposite of this time last year is how it feels. If you're dollar cost averaging in, this is when you want to be buying. A lot of people think they can pick the bottom, and you're going to know the moment that it's the bottom, and then you're going to put all your investment in. For those sitting on the sidelines, usually those people sit on the sidelines until it's back to 25,000, and then they go, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get some." Who knows? But I think that's where we're at now. The other thing is that these shit coins. My vision, as I said, many of these I think they're going to zero. I think it's one of these long. It's like Litecoin. What is the point? I feel it sort of has on this asymptote approach to zero. Maybe 10 years from now, it's sort of abandoned, but it can go on for a long time, sloping down. These are so silly, Neo. The other thing with some of these smaller coins, where miners are rewarded, I don't know if that's exactly the case in Neo. I'm not sure their financial structure, but they have the gas and all these things. If those tokens start getting so low that they can't afford to maintain the computers, or so many people with their computers, it's not supporting it, and everybody just abandons it. A lot of these things could be shuttered relatively quickly if the token price is too low to reward enough all the miners, or people have equipment and they're like, oh, screw it, I'm just going to go to Ethereum or Bitcoin with what equipment I have left. So, all of these I think suck. I don't know much about Qtum. It seems to be hanging in there for some reason, or at least with volume, but these are all garbage to me. People talk about Zcash like it's going to survive. I don't know much about privacy. And I think privacy comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum in the long run. So I wouldn't buy it. But so what else? What else do we want to talk about? Oh, yes, big news. New York Stock Exchange too, delayed to now January 24th. You know, listen, it's coming, and so it's a supply-demand situation, right? Right now, more people are selling, and then you get this Craig Wright idiot, who knows how much he's selling. And the buyers aren't really there, and if Wall Street is buying, they want to keep it look like they're not buying. And if they're not, I don't know when they start. And how much Wall Street buying do you need to suck up the supply? When we get to that point and the demand starts outstripping the supply, that's when the price goes up and game theory kicks in and it's mania all over again. But when does that happen? I don't know. But anyways, New York Stock Exchange delayed to January 24th. Fidelity, we don't even know when it begins. You know, it looks like it's first quarter, but how long before the price? That affects the price. I don't know. Is it January 25th? Or maybe it's March or second quarter next year. I don't know. It starts feeling like a long time. But, you know, it is what it is. For me, I hang in there, right? Now, another thing. So, Ethereum. And boy, so I'm going to talk about Maker in a second. But before I get to that, just Ethereum. I got to tell you, I love the Ethereum roadmap, and this crash, I think, is making all of these Ethereum killers look worse and worse and less relevant. You know, EOS, you know, maybe I'm not saying it's going away, but it's just like there's just a lot of little gambling games, which can be great. You know, and you could probably make a lot of money with little gambling games, and there's this EOS community, and they do those things. But that's not, to me, a competitor with Ethereum, right? MakerDAO, which I'll talk about in a second, I don't think that gets built on EOS. And a lot of the scaling on Ethereum is coming, and you're going to get these, I think these really big, important applications get built on Ethereum. EOS is fun, like I said, gambling games, and maybe people make a lot of money, and maybe it survives in that niche. And that's fine, and maybe it makes a ton of money. I don't have to invest in everything that makes money. I certainly haven't in my history. I try to pick my winners. But I'm not worried about EOS being an Ethereum killer at all. And whatever other, these other ones that are out there. I mean, clearly Neo, I don't think anybody thinks that is anymore. You know, the Chinese Ethereum or whatever they were pumping. So what else are we talking about? Okay, so Maker, well, look at this. You know, and it's funny because, listen, I think I said, hey, I like the Maker token right here. And then, like, the next day, you know, after 2 days later, I went to here, and everyone thought I was, hey, you're a genius, Dave. I wish I listened to you. And then they probably listened to me and bought it here, you know. And now, guess what? Well, if you loved it at 750, you really love it at 309. Looks like it's in a free fall. Now, so remember what I said, I love the Maker system in that you can post collateral. So I have a decent amount of Ethereum sitting there doing nothing. Well, I could post it and I can borrow it only 2.5%. I don't want to take any more dollars out of my fiat land. I think collateral is shrinking in the fiat world. Stock market, everything's sort of shrinking, collateral shrinking, and it's like there's a contagion effect. I'm worried about it. Plus, I'm trying to possibly do a little house transaction in, within a year. So I'm raising cash. But I don't want to put more money in crypto. Plus, I got plenty in there. So I like that I can get, though, a little leverage here on my Ethereum and eventually Bitcoin as well. Now, like I said, I like to be able to sleep at night. So you need collateral of something like at least 40% or you get liquidated. So I borrowed, like, my collateral was like 95% of my loan. So I don't have to worry about it. But the price was going down so fast. Last night I looked at it. I'm like, well, if it falls 50% overnight, I'll get liquidated. So I put a little bit more Ethereum in the collateral, which also I had been realizing lately. One thing I had said before was, well, if you see collateral jump and the price doesn't go up, that's a good sign. But, this collateral, this is the number of Ethereum. So if a lot more Ethereum is posted, if the price of Ethereum goes down, you're automatically going to get a high jump in Ethereum amount of collateral. It's more of the dollar value is what you'd be concerned about. And the locked collateral dollar value here, I think, is actually a little down because it was around 200. So But at the same time, I got to say, I like that you're not seeing people bail when the price goes down. You're seeing them post more collateral, mostly. And when I say more collateral, at least Ethereum units. And if the price recovers, a little bit here, this number could be higher. And also, does this show the supply? And the supply of okay, so people have been pulling back, reducing their loans in this thing. This is also trying to value maker is like, is it based on how much DAI there is or how much collateral? I mean, ultimately, what I care about is how safe is it too? Is it going to crash? And last night, another thing I saw, geez, I can't find the link, but people get liquidated, and you can follow the liquidations. I saw it somewhere on Twitter. There was a liquidation the other day, $7 million in DAI got liquidated, and the whole thing worked, and the Ethereum was sold. And maybe that's part of why the market's down, but there were some big liquidations happening, and the system continues to work. I think, listen, this thing is being stress tested hardcore. Maybe it collapses tomorrow and we find out there's a huge problem when volatility reaches a certain level. I don't know. So far, so good. I put in a little more collateral. My idea was, now that the price is low, this is when you'd want to buy. And I can sort of buy it. I shouldn't say free money, but my Ethereum, which is doing nothing, it cost me 2.5% a year to buy Maker. I just want to make sure I don't get stuck with the thing keeps crashing, right? If Ethereum keeps going down. Anyways, this is exciting and fun to watch. A Maker, and if it survives this crash, I don't mean today, but eventually Ethereum, I believe, starts to recover or at least be stable. And when it does, if Maker's still ticking along and they introduce multiple collateral things, that's the other thing. Eventually, I think you can have Bitcoin as collateral. I have Bitcoin. I could bail myself out if I needed to. I could post more collateral with Bitcoin. Anyways, we'll see what happens. Okay, and Stellar. So, what I was saying with Stellar, I love it long run, but I gotta tell you, be straight up here, this thing may not move, may not have another run for, I don't know, feels like a long time. I don't know when, because I think Bitcoin moves first, then you get Ethereum. When is this moving? There's a lot of supply in the market, in that there's the system, if Wall Street wants to get in on Stellar, Jed McCaleb will sort of gift or give a deal. He has so many, the Stellar Foundation has so many tokens in holding that I just don't feel like there's going to be this institutional run-up. So I like it, but I got to tell you, if you look at it compared to Bitcoin, look at this. This is just a year. So this is, last year, and it was even lower, right? So I got in, compared to Bitcoin, this was pretty good. And run up here over point, whatever this is, 4 zeros, and then a 4 is pretty high. And I was saying, and I was hoping that Coinbase would have announced like right here, and this thing would have kept running. And if you were a little high in your percentage on Stellar, this is something that's held up. And if you've had, depending on where you bought it, listen, if you bought it here, you're down against Bitcoin. But a lot of places, maybe you're still up against Bitcoin, and you can lighten your load to get more Bitcoin with Stellar. Don't think that's a bad idea. Like I said, I think now my portfolio suggestion is 60% Bitcoin, 25% Ethereum, and 15% Stellar. That's what I would say. But if you put new money in, I'd put it only in Bitcoin. Okay. And I think that's all I had for my notes. One other point is I am going to be redoing my YouTube page, because I'm focusing on, creating education for kids. I'm sort of changing my whole, what do you call it? My brand. Changing what I'm doing from being Mr. Crypto to being Mr. Education about money for kids. But so anyways, if there's some videos I have that you haven't watched and you want to watch them soon, because I'm going to unlist a lot and sort of really clean it up. Also, that's another thing, by the way, regarding competitors to Ethereum, Cosmos, because this reminds me of a video where I don't know the exact. I guess you could say I'm wrong. You know, it's good to hold Ethereum because Cosmos is going to do a hard spoon, and you're going to get tokens on Cosmos. And Cosmos looked promising. Where is it? I think it's smart guys or women, you know, working on it. I guess it's coming. It's not a scam, but where is it? Waiting forever. And, you know, I think it was in April. I was like, oh, it's going to come soon. Well, I don't know when this Cosmos hard spoon is coming. And again, it's just more toward Ethereum 2.0 is Ethereum 2.0, not Cosmos and not these other ones. But anyways, I can't wait to erase that video, right, where I told you to hold on to your Ethereum so you can get Cosmos tokens 6 months ago. Still hasn't happened. If they announce that they're doing the hard spoon, they're going to give you a couple weeks, was the story. And if they do, it would be a good idea to get them for free. Why not? But I'm not holding my breath. Anyways, so I'm going to unlist a bunch of videos. Like I said, some to save my face. I'm not trying to hide anything. And if there's some old video you're like, hey, I wanted to see it, I'll message you. I'm not, you know, whatever. Yeah. I think that's all I got to say. If you have any questions, post below or your comments. You know, this is market is, you know, like I said, put on your seatbelt. Well, you know, if it falls below 6,000, look out below. Well, we fell. Woo, baby. Hey, maybe it was the bottom 2 days ago. Maybe not, right? So, be safe. And all you kids out there holding a bunch of shit coins, I told you. But if you have something's holding value and you don't have your Bitcoin, this may be your last chance. Good luck.